Good afternoon, everyone. Have you ever been to the world's most famous building? Well, if you haven't, you might just be missing out on something. You can look up those stats online about it being built in 1931 at the height of the Depression, and you can learn online about all of those King Kong movies. But did you know you can go up there in the wintertime even though it's outside because they put up outside heating? Do you know what it feels like to have a winter view of the city? There's some things that you really need to get out there and learn yourself, because travel is the best education in the world. And here's why. Join me, Terry Dixon, for an adventure for anyone, as I tell you why I think an education on the road is so great. This is Flushing Meadows Park. This is the home of the U.S. Open. Did you know that? Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. But did you know that it was one of the biggest parks in the entire 5 boroughs of the city? It also was the home to 2 World's Fairs, and one of them left these observation towers that you might just have seen in a little movie called Men in Black. So, did you know about this place? Did you know that there is a museum here? Of course, there's the Tennis Academy and the U.S. Open. It was built for the World Fair in 1939, and then they had another World's Fair here in 1964, which is what the remnants are from. Did you know there's also rocket statues out there somewhere? There's a botanical garden, and they have a night market here several months a year. Have you ever happened onto Lunar New Year in Chinatown? I'll tell you what, that's a surprise that you don't get in any books. Or the changing of the guard in Stockholm, Sweden at the palace. There's some things that you can read about. Of course, we all know there's a changing of the guard at palaces. It happens. But there's something about being there. It embeds it in your memory more. Like taking a ferry across the Baltic Sea. This really stamps those memories on your brain. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience, or maybe not. It was once for me. But here's what I can say. I sat on the Berlin Wall back when they were still tearing it down. I went hiking in the highlands of Iceland just to go see a waterfall. I discovered while at work on a trip that you could wear shorts and stand on 4 feet of snow at Crater Lake in Oregon. And I found the most beautiful place in the world just by asking online if anybody could help me replace the trip that I suddenly had to change for my family, and we found Lauterbrunn in Switzerland. I've discovered immersive art, which has become one of my loves. They have places everywhere, and I love to go and see the exhibits. But you're not going to get that feeling, and you're not going to have those memories if you just see it on TV, look at it on YouTube even, like you're doing with this, or reading about it in a book somewhere. Everything from Arctic House to Mercer Labs is a wonderful immersive experience, and you won't have the feeling of floating or flying or whatever it may be if you don't actually go out and do it yourself. So it's important. And art, while it's not life and death, learning something about Banksy is really worth the trouble, I'll tell you right now. This is an artist that while some are difficult to understand, he's pretty clear. He's a rebel. We now found out that he's Robin Gunningham, which took 40 years for people to discover. But here, when you visit the Banksy Museum, you kind of get to feel like you're part of the mystery, and you can be entertained by some of his work as well, especially the guys from Pulp Fiction with bananas. But I never would have got to experience what it was like to go to Katz's Delicatessen, and that is an experience, just knowing where it is, knowing what it is, knowing that it was in When Harry Met Sally doesn't give you the experience. But one thing I never would have discovered if I just had stayed home is this. Do you see that on the roof back there? That's Lenin. That is an authentic Lenin statue from Russia on the Lower East Side. And he's looking at a church. Gotta love it. But the experiences. Old Town in Stockholm. You don't really get a lay of the land if you just look at it in a book or online. And I never would have known about Suomenlinna Island in Helsinki had I not actually gone there and been wandering down at the old port and found the ferry that takes you over there so you can spend the day on this historic island. I never would have seen one of the strangest laid out amusement parks I've ever seen in my life in Helsinki either, had I not just picked up and gone there. There's a lot to be learned on the road, folks. Did anyone know there was an amusement park in Helsinki? Guess what? There was one in Stockholm too. There's a lot of them in cities in Europe. But I also never would have discovered the joy of Tallinn, Estonia without going. I had a hard time even getting the lay of the land while doing my research for my travel. Look at those steps. I had no idea what that was like until I got there, and I had no idea what a lot of it was like. I never would have known that you could see the entrance to the Brooklyn Bridge from the Manhattan Bridge, nor would I have really understood that the subway and all kinds of traffic run across this bridge had I not gone down to New York and walked on it. And then later took the subway across, because isn't it just gorgeous at sunset? It's just different when you go and you do things. You can't be told by anybody what to think. Did you know that there's a market underground next to Trump's house at Columbus Circle? Well, I didn't, but I went down there to use the subway and boom, there it was. Great food, good shopping, loved it. Did I know there was a park on top of Pier 57? I did read that, but I had to go and check it out for myself. And the last time I was in Washington, I found a nice shortcut over to the tidal basin so I could look at the cherry blossoms. But all of these things you learn on the road. So use those books, but back it up by going out and doing things yourself.